And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Today's satellite imagery showing a front that moved across the Arctic coast north slope and kind of dropped down south of the Brooks Range, really weak back in this area. And moving off to the east there, not much of a, more of a wind than rain producer with gusty winds up to 35 to 45 miles an hour along the Arctic coast, prompting those windsurf advisories there, or high surf advisories. And then we got some moisture here coming northward, first in a series of areas of clouds coming into the southwest interior. Next system down here to the south over the Aleutians. Otherwise, a good day here along the southeast coast, south central Alaska, a lot of sunshine here. Some low stuff in areas like the Susitna Valley early on, and then sunshine over the Copper River Basin. For tomorrow, VFR in the interior here, all the way up to the eastern Arctic coast. IFR, moisture on the increase, big push of moisture coming up. So look for IFR to work its way northward along the Alaska Range, into southern Cook Inlet, up into Prince William Sound, and along the just south of the North Gulf Coast, but definitely lower conditions with some lower clouds coming into the central and southern panhandle. Out in the Bering Sea, expect IFR anywhere from St. Lawrence Island all the way down to the Aleutians and along the Alaska Peninsula. For the afternoon, marginal VFR central and part of the western Arctic coast. Otherwise, pretty good. VFR north slope, Brooks Range into the at least northern Kobuk and most of Koyukuk valleys. Yukon Flats, VFR all the way down to the Alaska Range. Some a little bit less in the way of IFR here along the southern Alaska Range there, and then back to just east of Kodiak Island up into the North Gulf Coast. Lots of IFR out to the west there over the Bering Sea down to the Aleutians, and marginal VFR western half of the southeast coastal area up to about Yakutat, VFR more to the east. And for Friday morning, a lot of IFR here for the North Slope Arctic coast areas and into the Brooks Range and southward there into the northern Kobuk and Koyukuk valleys with the Yukon Flat staying VFR. VFR down to the Alaska Range, so the Tanana Valley 40-mile country looking really good. More IFR coming back in along the western Alaska Range, extending back out to the southwest interior. Bristol Bay looks marginal with the IFR along and just south of the Alaska Peninsula, northeastward here into the Gulf of Alaska, Prince William Sound area. And IFR here from the southwest, right on down across the Pribilofs, into the west central Aleutian areas to, Fox Islands included. And for the afternoon, looks IFR there from Unalaska Island westward to Adak with marginal VFR up across the western interior through the Bering Strait, southwest coast, and IFR, Brooks Range, northern Koyukuk Valley up to the Arctic coast, staying pretty good here through the eastern interior, again north of the Alaska Range. Improving here, Cook Inlet down towards southern Cook Inlet, Kamishak Bay area, Fognak Island. Areas of VFR breaking out Friday afternoon, but staying IFR, Prince William Sound now over to about Elfin Cove. Otherwise, the remainder of the panhandle, VFR. Passes for tomorrow, Anatuvik and Adigan, VFR. Western Alaska Range, Lake Clark and Merrill, IFR, especially on the eastern entrances of both passes. Rainy, marginal VFR, lowest conditions, eastern entrance. And for windy, marginal VFR with the lowest conditions on the southern approach. Isabel, marginal VFR, again, lowest here on the south. VFR out the north side. And Mentasta, VFR. Tanita, marginal. Portage, IFR. And Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels, 2,000 feet along the Arctic coast to about 8,000 feet here through the central interior, and then 10 to 12,000 feet over the southwest part of the state. Kodiak Island around 12,000 feet there, and then 8,000 feet all the way down just south of the central Aleutians. Icing, again, a lot of moisture coming up to the northeast, so area of considerable moderate icing sweeping across south central Alaska later tonight and into tomorrow morning, moving into the Copper River Basin, Prince William Sound area. Otherwise, a bigger area up here over the north central interior, back across Seward Peninsula to St. Lawrence Island. And the jet stream, this low tracking northward and that strong southerly jet pulling all that moisture north and northeast, 70 to 90 knots. Arctic coast, eastern Arctic coast, westerlies 85 to 90 knots. Pretty light here over the panhandle. Northeast, light for that elevation over the southern southeast coast. And looking at 9,000 feet, low pressure just west-southwest of Nunivak Island. Westerly winds turn southwest 50 to 55 knots here into the southwest part of the state and right over Shelikof Strait, and even 45 to 50 knots here across just about all of the southern interior areas. Light for the panhandle and the Aleutians. About the same pattern at 3,000 feet without low center there. Got easterlies or east-northeast about 45 knots St. Lawrence Island, and 40 to 55 knot winds coming around that low center. Looking at turbulence, look for considerable moderate turbulence here. Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak Island, areas of the southwest part of the state, especially over mountainous terrain, and also moderate turbulence here back to about Unalaska Island.